You ready to start this thing?
I am ready to start this thing.
You've had a week to get ready. You've had a week to prepare yourself, steel yourself.
I don't know that
for another rant.
Even enough time remotely, but...
This week's monologue won't be so bad.
Oh.
Welcome to The Capitolist, the show that takes a lighthearted look at the serious political business happening in Florida. Have you felt it, by the way?
Felt what?
The buzz, the Ron DeSantis for governor buzz that's been building and building in Tallahassee. You have not felt that?
No.
Yeah, well, there's rumors he's going to be getting in the race. I've even heard specific dates. Of course, none of my sources have been right so far, and in fact, DeSantis' people even told me I should get new sources.
Ouch.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a jab, but I do know this. Everyone wants to know what he's planning to do because Ron DeSantis has the potential to completely shift the dynamics on the Republican side of the governor's race. At this point, Republicans have two candidates in the race that have demonstrated they know how to get elected and win campaigns. Adam Putnam and Jack Latvala.
That's true.
Yeah. Now, there's another dozen or so declared candidates, but we generally don't look at the rest of them because they're not well-funded and they don't really have the, the infrastructure around them to sort of shepherd them through a long and grueling campaign process.
They can be, but
But there's some interesting candidates out there.
And I think we should take the opportunity to speak to them.
You know, I'll take you up on that.
Yay, okay.
But not today. Not today.
So not today. No, not today. Let's keep it. Ron DeSantis, let's keep this rumor going.
We'll stay on rumor. I'm telling you, I've got good sources, and I'll share more. Congressman Ron DeSantis and Florida House Speaker Richard Corcoran are two candidates that are expected to round out the field. But before I break that dynamic down, first I want to point out that there's actually a third name beginning to percolate in Tallahassee.
So another rumor. Who?
It's Carlos Baruf. Oh. None other than your guy.
That's crazy. Where do you get your insider info?
Well, I have a lot of sources, as I said, and some of them, may not be the best, but I'm still a new journalist. I'm new to the journalist game.
Well, like the DeSantis people said, maybe we need new sources.
Well, I've been working on that.
Okay.
Do you want to see what I've been up to? You're a little nervous, aren't you?
But you're going to show me. I don't want to, but you're going to show me.
You're nervous. Everybody wants to know what I've been up to. Everybody wants to know where I get my sources from.
I'm hanging on.
Roll it.
Brian, undercover, surveying Tallahassee, everywhere, downtown. Busted.
All right, so as you can see, we're on the prowl right now in downtown Tallahassee. This is sort of the heart of where all the action is and where all the stuff is at. Let's see if we can pick up some audio. She might be talking to somebody. Maybe a good source. This is my laser mic, and I'm pointing it right at her. She might be having a clandestine phone conversation. We'll see if we can pick something up. Gotta get my app going. Oh, she's backing up. Yep, she's definitely saw me. Totally busted. She freaked out, man. Yeah, you gotta be real subtle. I got these tinted windows so that, kind of like spies use. The CIA, I've heard they have tinted windows. See, now it's kind of dead this week, so we might not get a lot of action. There's the Capitol. We might pull up on the Capitol and let's just see what we can get here. A lot of times there's a guard at this gate. But I know people. I'm pretty. Sometimes they'll just let me in. I can sometimes bluster my way through. Just gonna pick somebody up over here.
Okay, go pick somebody up. Sounds good.
Thank you. See what I mean? This is the House office building right here. Who knows what kind of scandal's going on up in there? So I'm gonna get my laser mic out. Be careful with those tinted windows though, because I don't want to give us away. This is some classified tech. As you know, there's a lot of Florida politicians who have deep connections to CIA. Jeb Bush's father, George Bush, ran CIA, and of course Porter Goss, former congressman, also CIA. And I'm not saying they gave me access to this technology, but what I am saying is that Florida has a lot of deep connections to CIA tech and CIA people. See if I can pick up anything in the window over there. It's getting dead over there. Okay, there's a. Oh yeah.
Hey, I heard there's a few lawmakers' laptops missing, a few more.
Oh yeah, like who?
Well, I got Latvala, Negron, Farmer, Brandon, and Brandis.
That's a lot of laptops.
Well, laptops is just a euphemism.
We better get out of here. We better go.
Busted.
This is one of the best kept secrets in journalism because some of the best sources as a journalist are other journalists. So, unfortunately, even though they might recognize me, we used to do battle when I worked for the governor. Let's see if we can catch some audio at the Florida Press Center here. Top floor. I think that's the AP up there. Maybe it's Politico, I'm not sure. I'll have to do some voice analysis later. You picking that up?
Want to grab some lunch?
Sure. But why are we whispering?
I don't want Matt Dixon to go.
It's no good. I'll have to come back later.
Busted.
RPOF headquarters. George Bush Republican Center. It's right here in the corner. Now, no one is more paranoid than Republicans. Put it right on the chairman's window there. See if we can get something in there. Maybe house campaigns.
Hey, I hear DeSantis is getting in the race this week.
Yeah, I heard the same thing last week. It's time for that dude to fish or cut bait.
Busted.
We're here at the Tri-Delt House on the FSU campus, college sorority. Like I said, it's a hotbed for scuttlebutt. We'll try a couple different windows. Oh, there's a car coming. We gotta play it cool. Be cool, be cool. I'm just gonna pull off over here. Hopefully they won't see my laser mic out the window. She's probably calling security on us right now, so we can't stay long. Okay. Oh, I'm getting a signal now. I'm getting a good signal.
Hi, I'm from the Florida Senate, and we're auditioning for interns today.
Sir, have you checked in with the security?
So creepy.
Make sure you get that.
Busted!
This is the last real gold mine for hot rumors and hot tips. We're at Tallahassee City Hall. It's going to be right on my right here as I pull around, but the police protection and FBI is always snooping around. You just never know what kind of trouble you might get in when you pull a stunt like this. You get the laser mic out. I'm just going to point it out the window here and see if we can pick anything up. Oh, that's it, right there.
Excuse me, sir, can I help you?
Yeah, I'm Special Agent Miller from the FBI's media team. I'm trying to find a good backdrop for the news cameras when we do our perp walks.
Solid gold. That's how it's done. That's how real journalists work right there. That's how, when you want a scoop, when you need a source, you gotta be willing to embrace technology and go the extra mile. Put in the work and it pays off.
Busted.
What'd you think?
I only cringed a little bit, not my
Why
normal
would you
cringe.
cringe? Look, now that I'm considered to be a journalist, I have to be willing to chase down a story no matter where it leads.
I think there should be some limits, some boundaries.
Well, okay, in a moment we'll talk with our expert panelists to find out what they think about all of my rumors and whatnot. But first, a quick break and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Capitolist, and we're here with our panelists. And in our hot seat today, we have Matt Dixon from Politico.com.
You do.
And I'm glad you're here. We have Katie Webb from Kolodny Fast, and we have Chris Dudley from Southern Strategy Group. Welcome again back to the panel. I want to talk today a little bit about the upcoming governor's race. There's a congressional representative out there, Ron DeSantis, and he is rumored to be looking at getting into this race. And that could totally change the dynamic. Right now in the race we have Adam Putnam, and we have rumors of Richard Corcoran. We have Jack Latvala in. On the Republican side, we could still see Ron DeSantis. I'm going to throw the question. You're in the hot seat for a reason, Matt. And that's because we're going to throw the first question to you and put all the pressure on you to sort of hit the home run.
Brian, this is terrifying.
I know.
But here's what I would say. I think it's
getting in.
I think it's almost certain that he gets in. I really do. I don't think it'll be till maybe after the first of the year. I don't think he's really in any hurry. He's already has a committee that he's raising money for that has about $1.7 million already. He's raising money quickly. He kind of has a large conservative groups nationally. The Koch brother type groups really like him and have been giving him a lot of money already. So there's no incentive to get in and start taking bullets already because he's raising a lot of money. His congressional committee's got a bunch of money left. He has a super PAC that's already helping out his state committee. So there's a federal committee that's helping his state committee already. So money isn't going to be a problem. And why get in and have to deal with Latvala, Corcoran, Putnam, and sort of session politics right now?
You say money's not going to be a problem, though. I think there's not a lot of time left. It's a big race. You've got Putnam with what, $15 million right now?
Well, I guess my best example would be his top three contributions to his state level political committee are all six figures. He has a $500,000 check, a $300,000 check, and then another $300,000 check from a super PAC. He's the only guy who's raising that sort of money, and he has a donor base that none of the other candidates will have access to nationally. So I think he's in a unique position and kind of in his own lane from that standpoint. So my whole thing would be, these guys are all going to fight each other over session politics and state level stuff. Why not stay in D.C., focus on raising the money that he's going to be able to raise, and put a press release out praising Trump every once in a while and stay above the fray?
Okay, Katie, tell Matt why he's wrong.
Actually, I think Matt's right. I think Matt's 100% right. What
You
I
don't think he gets in early. You think he waits till after the first of the year.
I agree,
I think
yeah.
that's the biggest question. That's the biggest, I think, shock coming from you.
Yep.
And so you think that's correct?
Well, what I think is going to be one of the really interesting dynamics is we do know that Richard Corcoran has made it a point to appeal to the same type of groups that are naturally going to be also interested in Ron DeSantis.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what we will see that will be really interesting as it plays out is how they wind up respectively trying to appeal to those same types of interest groups and things along that
Yeah, that's
nature.
going to be an interesting dynamic there.
Right.
I'm still stunned because I don't see the timing there. So I'm depending on Chris Dudley to tell you, both of you, why you're both wrong.
I love
Chris,
hearing why I'm wrong.
tell them why they're wrong.
You're both wrong.
Player.
Yeah, I don't see him running. I mean, this guy
For
is
governor or for anything?
for governor.
Okay.
I mean, I think the congressman is, a perfect candidate. Future of the Republican Party. He's 39 years old. Went to Yale, Harvard. He's got a
US
Bronze
Navy, right?
Star, U.S. Navy. He's a lieutenant commander. He's doing the things in D.C. that we want you to do, right? He does things like Congress should have to live under the same laws that we pass for everybody else. Get rid of pensions. I mean, he's doing all the right things. Frankly, we need him in D.C. We need people like that. I'd love to see him be around for a long time. I think it would be, I agree he's done well raising money. I think it's hard to raise money when you're a member of Congress. There are some laws that don't apply to Adam Putnam and Richard Corcoran and Jack Latvala that he's going to have to contend with. That'll be tough. I think you can get a couple $1 million in the door as low-hanging fruit, but I think trying to get to the $20-25 million number that he would need to mount a credible primary race is going to be hard.
And to compete for the same lane that Corcoran is. Now, if he doesn't get in, some say Attorney General. Do you think that's a viable path for him right now, or is that, or does he stay in Congress?
I think he stays in Congress. I think he does. I think the smart path for him would be to continue to build his national presence, his statewide presence, and continue to be a rising star in Congress. I think that's.
I unequivocally think he will not run for Attorney General. I think that's completely off the table. I think there's a chance, you're right, that he might not run. I think there's some family considerations there. I certainly wouldn't put it at 100%. I'm definitely less skeptical than you are. I think he does run, but there's a chance he doesn't, but I don't think he'll run for Attorney General at all.
Now he's got some tweets out there, some Donald Trump stuff. There's a little dynamic going on. He's got the new, there's different things that he's sort of jockeying with in terms of trying to make it look like he's angling. Is that just trying to raise some money, or he's just maybe keeping his powder dry and setting up in case an opportunity presents itself? I mean, you just discount all that. That's what I'm hearing.
I think he's making some rounds and exploring the possibility of success there. And Chris makes a good point. He's certainly extraordinarily well credentialed in terms of if you're looking at a resume for a candidate running for either a statewide position or a larger national presence. I mean, the guy's got extraordinary credentials.
Well, and the cost benefit, even if he doesn't do anything, of trumping positive things about the president. I mean, when you run that in your head, if you're a Republican member of Congress, just the idea of Trump could give him a shout out at a rally in Florida or retweet him.
Right.
I mean, even if he doesn't want to leave Congress, there's really no negative for him doing some of the things he's doing from a messaging standpoint.
Let's say that I'm right and you guys are wrong, and by the next show or a couple shows from now, he's in. How does that alter the dynamic of this race? I mean, does it instantly, is Latvala relevant still, or is he struggling at that point? Because at this point, you got to assume, I'm assuming Corcoran's in, and that those two are fighting, and then you've got Putnam in with a lot of money and very sort of a vaunted candidate there. So what Jack Latvala's path to victory?
I think he's relevant until the end of session. And then he's the Senate budget chairman, which is going to keep him relevant until the end of session. Then I think probably things get a little more tricky for him. He's going to rely on things like public financing, while some of the other guys are going to raise some I think, more money. So as far as the relevance question there, I think he'll stay in it for a while, but might struggle to raise money would be my guess eventually.
Okay, we've got to take a quick break, and when we come right back, we'll have a couple more questions for our panelists. And we are back. Want to throw another question out there, this time shifting gears just slightly, still at 2018. I want to talk about Rick Scott versus Bill Nelson, and I'm going to shift it actually a little bit further ahead. Let's say, hypothetically, Rick Scott defeats Bill Nelson in a matchup for Senate. He becomes U.S. Senator. Is he instantly relevant? He's friends with what, Donald Trump, so he's instantly one of the more powerful senators, is he not?
Right. He's friends with Donald Trump. He's going to chair the Republican Governors Association in 2018. He's broken every Florida fundraising record. He's the biggest political star in Florida, and I don't think either of the two senators, can outshine him. And so, to your point, his title would be junior senator, but I don't think that's how it would be. Where the rubber meets the road.
Katie.
Sure. So, to Matt's point about him being the biggest politician in Florida right now, I mean, especially post-Irma, with the presence that he had across the state in terms of the response, disaster recovery, and efforts ongoing during the session, I think we'll see him continue to beat that drum. And, that's going to resonate with everybody in Florida. That hurricane affected everyone in Florida. So I think that's going to be a wild card factor that, to Matt's point, will really make him extraordinarily important in Florida and relevant in D.C.
Chris, how does it affect Marco Rubio's sort of national aspirations if Rick Scott becomes a senator and he's sort of maybe a bigger figure than Rubio?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I don't think Marco Rubio is, laying down anytime soon. I mean, if anything, he's kind of redoubling his efforts. I think he still has his eyes on the White House, and he's a great candidate, as we saw. I mean, I agree with what Matt and Katie have said. I mean, Rick Scott will be an 800-pound gorilla the day he walks into the U.S. Senate. I mean, he has a lifetime of really relevant experience. He's got a great credential. He's done, a good job here in Florida being governor. I mean, he is a tireless worker. I mean, as hard as anybody we've seen. And I think he would kind of bring that energy up there. I think he would be the senior senator in the first couple months. I think that's how people would view him.
Right. Now, we're running out of time, but before we go to the next segment, I wanted to point out, last week, the latest issue of Influence magazine came out, and our very own Katie Webb is on the cover as one of the most powerful women in Florida politics. So congratulations, first of all. And we're going to talk to Peter Schorsch. I think we all know Peter, and one of the features in his article is a chicken cooking segment where he's cooking with Josh Cooper. So we're going to go to that in a minute, but your thoughts on that, Matt?
I've long said this. The only thing more entertaining than this election cycle in 2018 is going to be watching Peter Schorsch cook chicken.
Yes.
I've always said that.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to let him cook it because Josh is the master chef, but Peter will certainly eat it, and so will I.
Can you cut out my last comment then?
No, leave it in. Thank you very much. That's all the time we have for now. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back to the Capitolist. As I mentioned before, it's a huge week in Tallahassee with committee weeks, but it's also big for another reason. The latest issue of Influence magazine is out. Peter Schorsch, the publisher, has joined me. Peter Schorsch is also the publisher of FloridaPolitics.com. A good friend and in some ways a mentor to me. I appreciate you being on the show.
Don't say that on camera.
That's okay. It's all right. I don't mind saying it. And you've got the latest big issue of Influence, and I appreciate you joining me on the show.
Thank you for having me. We actually have a star from television in our... No, not you.
He's a friend of mine. No, I'm just going to say the star that you're talking about is a friend of mine, too.
Right here, Josh Cooper, the master of dark arts in politics, but out front as a great chef on MasterChef, and coming soon to a lot more programs.
Let's talk a little bit about the dark arts.
Well, that's about enough of that.
Politico writer Maggie Haberman once called you a research maven. You've done some presidential work. You've done a lot of stuff in politics, but a lot of people don't know about that stuff. And now, thanks to Peter, you're sort of coming out of the shadows of politics and sort of influencing politics in a different way by cooking for folks in Tallahassee and other folks.
Well, people are a lot more used to talking about food than they are talking about kind of what goes on behind the scenes in politics. Right. So, we've been always behind the curtain, so to speak, working in the back dark rooms, but with the cooking and getting out front, that's something that's a lot more palatable for people. So
sometime I'll have you on the show. We'll talk more about political opposition research. You and I worked together on the 2010 campaign with when we helped elect Governor Rick Scott back in 2 terms ago now. And there's some great stories we could share. But today it's all about Influence magazine, and it's about the cooking dish that you had, and you're cooking some chicken for us, I understand?
Yes, I am. So this recipe, you can get it by getting a copy of Influence magazine or going to FloridaPolitics.com, which is where you can get the digital version. But I cooked this dish for Peter. This is a dish that I kind of took from a famous pitmaster, Myron Mixon. I tweaked it, made it my own, and then actually competed against him at the Tallahassee Pig Fest and beat him with his own recipe.
That's awesome.
So now we've got that recipe. It's in Influence Magazine. But to start, what we do is we call it a cupcake chicken. We take cupcake tins and we put in some squeezed butter. And the reason we use the squeezed butter, guys, is because it's got a higher smoke point than regular butter. And so it's not going to burn the skin of the chicken.
Got it.
So that's why we use this. So what we do is we take chicken thighs, we debone the chicken thighs by hand, which I'll show you how to do that in a minute. And then we're going to take them skin side down. We're going to place them in the bone. We're going to place them right into the cupcake tins, skin side down. And the reason we're doing this is, one, it's going to cook the skin and make it bite through so it's not rubbery. It's going to kind of abase the skin a little bit while we cook it. But also it's going to form it into these round cupcakes and makes it look good when we plate it. So that's why we start off with the cupcake tin.
So don't give away all of your trade secrets right now, because if you
more.
want to know how to make this particular recipe, you can find it all right there in the latest issue.
InfluenceMagazineFlorida.com.
Right.
You can get a subscription. And the main site, Florida Politics, is constantly updated with political stuff, which is, right now, it seems like it's drinking from a fire hose.
Now, tell me a little bit more about the latest issue of Influence. It's got a lot of ladies on the cover, and tell me about that.
It's actually a very timely issue. It is literally women rule, and it's about not just some of the best women lobbyists. These are some of the best lobbyists, period. And with all that's going on right now, we wanted to really take a look at how the industry, the governmental affairs industry, has changed, how women are much more part of that process than even a generation ago. And so we identified and talked to about a dozen different females in the process about what's changed, what hasn't changed, the unique situations they face. And I think that you'll see it's, again, with everything that's going on, it's very interesting to get that perspective. It's a male-dominated industry down in the Capitol, and we're trying to break through. As the father of a young daughter, I want her to grow up in a world where it's not, the same issues that some of the ladies in this magazine grew up with.
Without giving it away, is there a story that really jumps out at you that really encapsulates it?
Actually, one of the best is the interview with Marion Hammer, one of the most prominent lobbyists in the state. She's in charge of the NRA's lobbying efforts, and she talks about all the lessons that she's learned. And so that's probably the one that's going to be most talked about. Also, we do our year-end lobbying awards. Believe it or not, there are awards for lobbying. We call them the Golden Rotundas, and we named who had the best firm, and this year it was Gray Robinson, but then we identify some other winners, best insurance lobbyists, etc. We haven't come up with trophies yet, but we're getting there.
Right.
So.
Now, the legacy media likes to portray lobbyists as these bad guys, these evil dark arts practitioners. Not what you do, but lobbying in general. They want to portray it as influence peddlers and everything else. New media, such as what you are, what I do these days.
Yeah.
I think we take a little bit different look at it. It's a necessary evil, wouldn't you say, or a necessary component of how things get done.
Well, it's the reality of how things done. I mean, it's $1 billion industry, and there really isn't any reporting on it in traditional media. There's these actors who are in the process that people should know about. Who is a Brian Ballard? And he's probably one of the 5 or 10 most influential people in all of Florida politics, but because he's not an elected official, we don't know who he is, but he's important to know. And that's what Influence is really about, is breaking through and finding out how do these, how does how does the sausage get made? Well, it's these guys are the chefs of that industry.
Yeah, that's good stuff. You can catch it all in Influence Magazine. Where are we at with the chicken? I'm getting kind of hungry.
Smells good.
Yeah, let me check it real quick.
Through the magic of television, I think I'm going to get to eat some chicken. So while Josh is getting something out of the oven over there, I wanted to point out that one of the panelists on the Capitolist TV show is Katie Webb, and Katie is on the cover of this issue of Influence Magazine. So congratulations to her. Check it out. Don't forget to pick a copy up. Where can people get a copy or maybe read more about this stuff?
You can pick it up in Midtown Reader, which is right on Thomasville Road in Tallahassee. And then, again, you can subscribe. Your subscription, $25, InfluenceMagazineFlorida.com.
Nice.
So, Josh, what are you up to this election cycle?
Got a bunch of statewide campaigns here in Florida and a couple others across the country that we're working on, doing the research, getting ready for 2018, and also working on some chef stuff that's going to come out next year. So.
Well, let's eat before Election Day.
Absolutely.
I'm ready. It looks pretty tasty. because everybody's like, oh crap, and start bailing out, and the Democrats start bailing out. Public government to go to the lower level too.
Voila! Enjoy, gentlemen.
Awesome. Wow, this looks tasty. Now one more time, this is cupcake barbecue chicken or
Cupcake barbecue chicken, that's right.
I'm gonna eat it with my hands.
You eat it with your hands, just dig
Best
in.
way to go.
Sounds good.
All right, leave us alone. We're gonna try to taste this now.
Alright, get some quick B-roll.